Kia ora koutou. Welcome to our final Facebook Live on Winter Wellness for the week. And this one is about getting further health advice in winter. I'm Mary Louise, Clinical Leader with PlunketLine, and lovely to be with you all again. And welcome again, Gracie. How are you today?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you. Nice to see you all again. I'm Gracie. I'm a registered nurse on PlunketLine. You would have seen me through the week on these chats, and I'm looking forward to today's session because I think today is going
Excellent.
to be a good one, isn't it, Emil?
I think so. I think it sort of ties up some of the things that we've sort of talked about this week in terms of winter wellness. So what we're wanting to look at today is the different kinds of support that's out there when your whānau's under the weather. And you'd be amazed. There's actually probably quite a few more avenues than perhaps what you thought. So we're going to crack on in and to get us started on this, Gracie, what are some of the useful things that whānau can do before our little people are unwell?
Yeah, so it's really, really worthwhile to get a baseline normal for your child when they are well. So when something isn't normal, you're able to identify that more easily. So what you can do is, for example, taking a video of when they're well and just of their breathing and of how their chest's moving, how their tummy's moving, and just getting a good video of what their breathing looks like when they are well. And it's really important that you do this in really good light. So if you were concerned and you needed to see a doctor for some reason, you could show them what the breathing was like when they were well on the video compared to what they are in person. So it's really good. That's just an example. So that's the breathing type of thing. Now, the other thing is too, is that if, for example, your baby or your child, they pass an unusual looking bowel motion and you're like, oh, that's a bit weird. Well, it's good to take a little snapshot, keep it on your gallery there, keep a record. So if you do need to present to the doctor at some point, it is there and you're able to show them what it looks like rather than just using your words to explain. And that could be the same with vomit, that could be the same with a skin irritation, anything like that. You might want to take a photo. So that's a good thing. Now, the other thing is to take a good diary records of if they're unwell, sort of, okay, so when was their last formula bottle? When was their last breastfeed? When did they last have something to eat? When did I last give Pamel? What was their last temperature? Keeping a good diary. So when you do go to see a doctor, you've got a good record of what's actually been happening and it's all listed out clearly so the doctor gets a good picture. Okay. Now, and another thing to check on is understanding what your child's anterior fontanelle feels like when they are well. Now, an anterior fontanelle is a little soft spot, and I'm going to show you in a minute how to find it, but on the top of their head. Okay, now this usually, they're born with this, and this closes usually, it can vary, but it closes by the age of 18 months usually. But anyway, it's really good to know what their anterior fontanelle actually feels like, because often some people don't really know, and it's quite often a question that we ask. So to find the anterior fontanelle, you gently grab your two fingers and go up like this on top of your baby or child's head. And if it's in line with the ears and it's a soft spot just there. Now, normal is it feeling nice and firm and flat. It should never feel like a crater or really dipped in. If it does feel slightly dipped, it shouldn't be any more than a shallow teaspoon depth. Okay, so that's a normal anterior fontanelle. So it's really important that when your child is well, you have a feel of what that feels like when they're well. So then if you get asked, you know what their baseline is. Okay, now, so with that advice in mind, Mary Louise, let's talk about some of the digital supports that are available for our parents and whānau.
Sure. No worries. I'm just going to cycle back one little bit to that fontanelle. Don't worry about touching it. It's okay to touch the fontanelle.
Yeah.
There's a lovely covering underneath it. It's really safe. So, just gentle touching of the head and running your hands over it is perfectly fine. So, just get used to doing it. Now, cycling back again
yes.
to the digital supports out there. So, There is a whole heap of stuff on on the web, and it's knowing which ones to go to really. So the key thing is our trusted, reliable websites that you get your information from, and we don't mean the AI summaries of the information that you're going to get from Google or ChatGPT. You
Yeah.
want to actually go to the source websites, that have given you the information. First up, would be remiss of me to miss it, is our own Plunket website. We have heaps of health information on there, focused on pepe and tamariki. We've also got information about the services that we offer, including things like our community groups, our educational courses, and a whole lot more. One of our other websites, and if you've spoken to PlunketLine, you'll know that our PlunketLine nurses will refer you to this one a lot, is Healthify. Now, they're all going to go up into the chat as we're talking, so that you can see the websites there. So Healthify is designed to provide New Zealanders with reliable health and self-care resources. This website provides trusted, plain language information about conditions, medicine, treatment, prevention, support. They've got digital tools and so much more. So it can help you to share in your decision making and manage things a lot more safely at home. And there's also lots of information in there about when to seek medical advice. So that's always a good one to check out or be familiar with, searching up. Kids Health is another one we use. It's more specifically focused on child health. It's accurate, it's reliable information about children's health, again, specifically New Zealand based, so for New Zealand whānau and caregivers. They've got really useful videos on their website about things like what respiratory distress and other conditions look like. So again, taking you back to those lovely videos that we had at the beginning of when your child is well, this helps you with a point of reference when you're looking at those videos that show you things like respiratory distress, which is helpful. Health New Zealand, very official government website, that one. It has got lots of health information like all of the other ones that we've mentioned before, but they also have information about where and how to book immunisation appointments, booking online GP care. So a lot of that information is there. Information about hospitals across the country, including which ones have ED. So that can be really helpful when tamariki is unwell. They also have other things like, policy information that have been designed, things like nutrition guidelines, those sorts of things. So, there's like a real wealth of information in some of those websites. So on top of these websites, telehealth is also a really accessible way for our whānau to speak to someone for health advice. What kind of things do you think caregivers and parents should expect when calling PlunketLine or Healthline, for example, Gracie?
Oh, so yes, so definitely. So the great thing about PlunketLine and Healthline is that we're available 24/7 and it's free. So that's the first thing. And that is, I think, really, really helpful if you wake up in the night at 2 a.m. with a question on your mind or a concern and you're like, who do I talk to? Well, you can give us a call and we're always there to for your middle of the night concerns or in the day concerns, and just if you need to seek advice, whether you do need to go to an ED and after hours or book a GP appointment. So the standard questions that PlunketLine nurses will ask, it can sound like a lot of questions, I know, but it's really important that we do ask you all these questions because we need to be able to give you good, thorough advice, and you're our eyes and ears for the assessment. So quite often, we'll start off our phone call with asking whether your baby or tamariki is alert and rousable. And what we mean by that is that are they awake? Are they responding to sound? Are they responding to touch? The next question we'll often ask is how's their breathing? Have you got any concerns with their breathing? And the last question we'll often ask is has there been any injury? Or is there any bleeding from anywhere? And that's just to rule out any emergent symptoms, okay? And then we'll go on to do a triage assessment often, just to ask you a few more questions. It might be about the fontanelle, about wet nappies, about rashes, redness, swelling. Could be anything like that. So they're the kind of questions you'll expect us to ask when you ring us. Now, it's really important to let us know when you answer the call, is there any issues with their immediate issues with their behaviour, like decreased alertness, lethargy? Have you got any concerns with their breathing? What's their skin colour like? Is that abnormal to you? Those are really urgent questions that or answers that we need to know about soon on into the call. Okay. Now, Emma, Mary Louise, we've brought up a lot about urgent care, ED. We're talking about this through this chat today. And are you able to talk a little bit about the difference between the two and when to access which one and how to go about that?
Sure. Okay. So, when we're talking about emergency department, ED versus urgent care, key things to think about. Emergency departments, EDs, are for life-threatening emergencies, whereas our urgent care is for obviously serious but non-life-threatening emergencies. Obviously, in some, small population centres in New Zealand, there may not be too many urgent cares available, and it may be that urgent care is the emergency department. But where possible, and again, if you're speaking with our PlunketLine nurses or our Healthline colleagues, we'll work with you to actually determine where the best place is for you to go. And that might be that there's an after hours doctor or a telehealth doctor, but your key things are to remember are: aim for the emergency department if it's life-threatening, if it's really, really serious, and ideally urgent care for most of those other things. Couple of other things: EDs are always free. Urgent care clinics will, depending on the age of the child, will sometimes have a fee for consultation. You can always ask at PlunketLine what the website, we can check on their websites, and that will advise as to whether there is any consultation fees, or you can ring the urgent care, yourself and ask about, the fees for the age of your child and the time of day that you're accessing it. And really the key thing I'd say is, if you don't need to be at an ED with your little one, try and stay away from it. When there's a whole lot of sick people there and you've got a really little pepe or tamariki, you really don't want them exposed to those bugs for, the length of time that you're needing to be waiting. So, where you don't need to go, stay out of it, really, would be my thoughts on that. But there is a couple of other places that can give really, really good advice. So, another avenue that Whānau might want to use is pharmacists. They are amazing. They can do so much now. Gracie, are you able to tell us a bit more about what they can do for us?
Definitely. So pharmacists, there's such a wealth of knowledge. So, from expert medication advice to immunisations, urinary tract infections for non-complicated urinary tract infections for mama, papa, eye infections, fixing up minor cuts or suggestions for creams and checking rashes and doing basic health checks. They can be a good place to start sometimes, a first port of call, especially if you're unsure what to do or what medical advice you might need. Okay. Now, just bear in mind, pharmacies aren't somewhere you go if you've got a very sick pepe or tamariki and they're really unwell. Yes, you seek alternative methods of what we've talked about. But if they've just got a little bit of a rash and they're otherwise well, or they've got a little bit of a blocked nose and they're otherwise well, then you pop into the pharmacy and have a good chat to the pharmacist, and they'll be able to lead you in the right direction as well. And you can learn a lot more about the support that they provide by looking on the Health New Zealand website. And we're going to pop a link up in the chat to have a look at that, because it will list everything that pharmacies can do. And recently there's been a new what would you say, Mary Louise?
There's been a new change as to what they're able to do in terms of regulations. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, there's actually they're able to do more now and help with more medications and things like that. So it's great to have a look what they do offer, just so you're in the loop as well. I think, and yeah, PlunketLine, all those health websites Mary Louise spoke about, and that's.
Yep. So looks like we don't have any questions in the chat, Gracie. So I think we can wind up our Winter Wellness Week. Thank you so much, Gracie, for being with us today and this week, and doing these chats with us. To everyone that's out there and that's watched and commented over the week, thank you. We hope you found this useful. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with PlunketLine anytime, or just be in touch generally, and we hope that you found this incredibly useful. Gracie, any last thoughts?
No, but I wish you all a wonderful rest of the winter, and keep warm, not too warm, keep safe, and look after yourselves. Ka kite.
Ka kite, everybody.